Y'all, it's your girl Gemini Jazz, and we are back with another video. And today we are going to be discussing Chiron through all 12 zodiac signs. Okay, so first and foremost, before we dive into all of this good stuff about Chiron, because we have lots of things to discuss when it comes to Chiron. It's such a deep and mysterious energy to kind of navigate. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I'd just like to say thank you for being here. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope things have been going well on your end and all that good stuff. And I don't have any announcements outside of what I always, kind of suggest. But if you are looking to dive more into what we're going to talk about in this video and get readings or more insight individually on your chart, hit the description box below because I have all of my contact information, my website, my social platforms, so on and so forth. And you can access me and all of my services, including my membership, the Celestial City, that is only $33.33 per month, as well as the readings that I have available at this time. Okay, so now let's dive into this video about Chiron in the signs. So Chiron, what is Chiron, right? Chiron is an asteroid, and we all know about that, right? It's an asteroid, it's not a planet, and it's often referred to as the wounded healer, right? Chiron is connected to our deepest wounds, right? The knowledge and also the healing that comes along with that. So, the self-healers, we all have that ability to heal ourselves. We all have the ability to know what these wounds and whatnot are stemming from. We just have to tap in. So Chiron is utilized in astrology to show us where our emotional baggage is, so to speak. So the lesson that Chiron evolves basically is the ways that we recognize and deal with our deepest wounds, right? Or sometimes how we don't deal with our deepest wounds. And a lot of that comes from our earliest encounters with life, with people, our relating experiences, right? Memories and things that are taught to be hidden, right? Because they are basically deemed unpleasant or not good or harmful or painful. And so therefore they must then be unacceptable. And so because of these energies, this is where emotions like guilt and shame, abandonment, low self-esteem, low self-worth, fears about being rejected, unworthiness, all of these things come into play because of how society deems certain emotions and certain encounters with life to be unacceptable. Now, wherever Chiron falls in our birth chart, preferably by sign, right? First and foremost, you got to recognize the sign, which is why this video is here. So recognize what sign Chiron is, and then you take into account the house placement. Where is Chiron in your house? Like with the first house, second house, eighth house, wherever, because then that gives it a different flavor to what's happening with Chiron being in, just say, Aries, or Chiron in Virgo, so on and so forth. So once you take into account the sign, as well as the house placement, then you have to pay attention to the aspects that it forms with other planets and other houses and whatnot in your chart. So you can recognize by seeing all these things, the area in which we feel vulnerable or quote unquote weak, or these things that might really evoke feelings of low self-esteem and low self-worth that we were previously speaking about. Okay, so Chiron's placement, in turn, what it does is it shines a light on our past hurts, our wounds, things, even such as like childhood trauma, all of those experiences, those ill experiences, from previous, things, even maybe in past life type of situations, depending on where it falls in your chart, right? So this is what we like to call emotional baggage, right? So this is what it's doing is shining a light, so to speak, or revealing, how our repeated interactions with others or with the world, excuse me, with the world, so to speak, will provoke our insecurities and maybe even, what we deem as being failures. So there's also an option, right? This is where that quote unquote free will comes in, because although it's revealing it, we still have to make a choice to see it, right? So that's kind of where that line goes in between that Chiron energy. Chiron's purpose is to make us realize that our weak spots are not feelings that we can erase or disregard, rather than they are something that need to be embraced. They cannot necessarily be denied, right? We cannot just say, this terrible thing that I feel about myself needs to be ignored, because it only amplifies more of that emotion, more of that feeling, right? So let's think of it this way. Take peekaboo, the game peekaboo, for example. Just because you're covering your eyes, it does not mean the person or the thing on the other side of your hand does not exist. You're simply choosing not to see it. So that's the way that we can see Chiron. Chiron gives us an opportunity to recognize that there's something still on the other side of what we can't see. We have to literally just make the choice to pull our hands down and say, I see this for what this is. Now, what are we going to do about it? Facing your fears, facing those insecurities and those feelings of guilt and shame and whatnot. Okay, so if we forget the experience, right, this is how we think. If we forget the experience itself, then our bodies and minds will forget it also. No, that's not the truth, right? Our bodies and minds will still contain that feeling, right, as a sensory or a trace memory. And if you have not read the book, The Body Holds the Number, it goes into more detail about this on a psychological aspect of things, okay? So now, how do we use Chiron for our growth and our gain, right? So all these feelings of shame and guilt and all these low vibrational emotions that we're speaking about, right? But how can we in turn transmute that energy and turn the pain into purpose, right? And making that purpose, or making that all of that lucrative for us and even pleasurable, right? So Chiron's cycle of reoccurrence, basically, Chiron, what it does in turn, it creates these situations, right, in life, these circumstances in life that's going to trigger us. But in turn, the reward comes from Chiron when we learn to integrate our painful experiences, allowing these triggers to invite us to navigate why we're being triggered, where this is stemming from, how can we grow through this, right? And integrate these experiences as a part of our identities, right? So this is turning that pain into purpose and also pleasure. Right. So, but keep in mind that as long as we continue to view these imperfections that need to be removed or purged from us, then we'll continue to see them as flaws in others as well as ourselves, right? Because it's all about mirroring. Every situation and every person in our life is mirroring some aspect of ourselves, right? So, this is going to continue to impact our capacity for relationships and mutual understanding of others if we continue to see Chiron, or continue to see our wounds or these feelings that we have, our insecurities, as flaws, so to speak, okay, instead of using them to empower us to actually help heal other people. So now, without further ado, let's start navigating Chiron through the signs. Hello, friends. So today we are going to cover Chiron in the sign of Taurus. Okay, so Chiron in the sign of Taurus. Individuals with this placement may have issues with their possessions, relationships, their self-worth, and even their finances, because your self-worth is directly connected to your net worth, okay? So anytime you see someone with Chiron in Taurus, you see that their money is affected based on how they feel about themselves or what's going on in their relationships even. So, however, this can manifest in several different ways, such as codependency, or just the complete opposite, where these individuals become detached and disinterested in those Taurus-ruled themes like relationships and money. And so they kind of like go on this perpetual downslide of not having pleasure in their life, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is all about the things that bring us pleasure. So they are disinterested or detached from feeling or experiencing pleasure. Okay. Now, Venus also rules our talents, right? So artistic things. And so which Also, with Venus being the ruling planet of Taurus, they might have issues finding or connecting to their talents, right? That might be an issue. Not feeling artistic and not knowing how to express themselves in an artistic manner. So, people with this placement, excuse me, can heal themselves by accepting those inner insecurities and facing them head on, right? Those self-worth issues that they may encounter throughout life. A lot of the times, these individuals may have grown up without money, or the opposite, where they had an influx of money, but money was used as a form of power over them. And so also, because they have this energy in their chart, they can also help others heal on a financial level, right? They can heal their relationships with money, even being a relationship coach, even, and also help others feel, or help them heal their sense of stability overall, because Taurus is a fixed sign. It's all about stable and practical things. So, how do you find a solution to this is by looking into the eighth house. So the solution is found in the eighth house, which is the house that governs your shared resources, debt, and karma, right? So examples of people with Chiron and Taurus, you'll see them being financial advisors, like I mentioned before, or even relationship therapists or counselors even. Okay, so with Chiron and Taurus, the wound that's associated with this is a sense of self-worth and also within the body, right? So this may manifest in several different ways, including a deep insecurity that's rooted in the body. You might feel it in like your neck. You might have chronic neck pain, things like that. Also, fear of loss of safety or your sense of security, right? And it's always financially or relationship wise. Now, they also might find it hard to trust in other people and also trust in the abundance that life has to offer. So they might be kind of skeptical. It's kind of like taking on that opposing energy of Scorpio, right, into their core being, so to speak. Okay, so also, you might find these people are holding on or clinging on to possessions. You'll see these people be like hoarders and things of that nature because they have this inherent fear of not having enough. And it comes from some type of traumatic experience in their childhood. Maybe they grew up, being, poor or not having the financial or the means that are needed to just have basic living skills or basic life, just living with the basic needs. They may have had some trauma associated with that. So they cling on to every little thing in a fear of not having enough. Okay. Also, these people have a tendency to devalue themselves and life in general. So that's that self-worth, self-esteem issues. Also, these people avoid risk because they're so rooted in that Taurus energy of being fixed that they avoid taking risks that can actually, propel them into pleasurable experiences. Also, these people are highly or overly cautious with money and can also manifest in being materialistic as well. So the healing journey for Chiron and Taurus involves the inner security, right? The gift for these people is to feel that unshakable inner strength and that self-worth that they naturally possess. They have to actually bring it forward, right? So as they go through their healing journey and as they learn the lessons and the triggers, they can navigate through them. Eventually, what they do, they tap into that unshakable inner strength and self-worth. Okay. So the safety and the love that these people need can be found by adopting a spiritual path, right? And also maybe befriending, their instincts by listening to their bodies, right? Paying attention to where things feel, right? Because Taurus also, since it's ruled by Venus, it's also about our senses. So paying attention to the sensory responses that you have to certain things. Also, you can learn to see the connection between the material world and the spiritual worlds also. And this is going to help develop a deeper understanding of what true abundance really means to them as individuals. Also, people with this Chiron and Taurus placement, they may turn out to be excellent managers or, managing other people's money. So like, accountants and things of that nature. Also, they can help other people kind of get their resources and their wills and things like that in order, right? Because opposite of that Taurus energy is that Scorpio energy and is other people's resources. So that's where you find the healing in that. Okay. Also, you may have people with this placement that have like a significant financial sense where they're really good with money, but also because the reason why they're so good with money because they know exactly what it's like to either have not enough or they've had experience of an influx amount of it, right? And so their life might not always reflect that they have a significant sense of finances, but they do. Okay, you can also see that these people might be a gifted midwife because it's that goddess energy with that Venus. Also, that sense of creativity might be through the roof. They might be really creative people, but they're just not tapping into it. And because you understand how the creative process works, inherently, like it's something that's just in on the subconscious level for these people. It's just that they have to actually go through the healing journey and the triggers and the lessons in life and then tap into that. All right. So the key for these people is to get out of their own way, right? In order to find that creativity and whatnot, in order for those things to kind of flow and move forward. Okay. So that is all that I have for Chiron in the sign of Taurus. I hope this has been beneficial and helpful. I look forward to connecting with you. And once again, if you are looking to dive deeper into your Chiron placement, where it's in your house, what sign it's in, and all the other aspects that it makes, because of course, all those different things give it a different nuance to how it manifests by individuals, right? This is just a general synopsis of how Chiron and Taurus resonates or how it can manifest. But if you're looking to dive deeper into it, hit the description box below. I'm going to list all of my social contacts and information. You can also access my website, book a reading. You can join the membership, and also you can purchase your Reiki infused candles as well on the website. Alrighty, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and all those good things. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Bye.